quote. Do not quote me on this. This is not something you go about telling people, hey, I believe this, don't believe it, do your research. There were fish that lived in the water, but they were considered reptiles, you know? Like marine reptiles with denser skin based off the fact that the water was hotter and they weren't exactly always rising to the surface to go see the sun. They were just down there eating whatever was there. And over time, as they evolved and they change shape because they have to find different ways to find food. There are animals existing, hiding in different places. That stick thing I think is bothering me. Guys, in the water, literally there was life already before it came on land. So you can't just assume that there was already life on Earth. And for those of you that do research, there was no life on Earth. At some point, there was life in the water, then something came out of the water and got on land, spread, here we are, right? Now, if that thing that came out the water was a reptile, wouldn't that mean that everything else that played out, no matter which direction it went, you could have became a fucking tree, nigga? If the first thing plants were the first thing on land. Let me get that straight. Obviously, plants were on land because life would have to be sustainable. But, my dude, you'd have to be your origin, right? That's why most people that are religious believe that they're God because they come from God. Well,
and why do they all sound so freaking similar?
You feel me? Like, if we all come from we're all from Earth. We all believe we grow on Earth. We don't believe that. I don't know what else you guys are believing because there's a lot of shit in terms of beliefs of what's going on with human evolution. But there's a really good chance for reptiles. I mean, you're looking at me like, dude, you don't look like a reptile. You don't look like a lizard. I mean, I look at my hands and I've got features that they have. I've got textures that they have on their skin. I've got webs in between my fingers like I still swim. I'm like them. I need water. There is no other animal. There's no other way that animals process, having to live. They don't have to. They have to eat. They have to sleep, and they shit. We have the same respiratory system. Not necessarily. You get me, guys. We share so many things in common with them, and they are older than us. Our oldest bones, for our species specifically, Homo sapiens. Forgot what the other one's called. About 200,000 years old. Then you've got the humans that were closer to apes, about 500,000 years old, and it can probably go further than that. But if you think about how old that is, let's consider when life pretty much hit the Earth, Cretaceous period was about 500 million years ago, right? Assuming the Cretaceous period is when that lizard initiated that period as they evolved, right? We can't be reptiles, Lewis. It just doesn't make any sense. Reptiles are smaller and they don't have, they're cold-blooded. They need the sun to balance their temperature. They're not as intellectual. All right. Well, how about this, guys? Dinosaurs were warm-blooded. Because if you look it up, what made a dinosaur was that they were warm-blooded and they were able, they were big. They had, what was it? They were able to maintain their temperature wherever they were, so they didn't need to do what lizards did to have to go out of their way to go heat up and cool down, It was easier for them to live. They could just run around like regular animals and kill things, right? Those things eventually died off, but before they even died off, they were evolving at that time period. Really think about where you could have potentially came from scientifically. What do you, when you go as far back as you can to, let's say, because monkeys weren't even around during that time period, guys. Monkeys didn't come about till the end of the Cretaceous period, which is the end of Cretaceous Paleogene. I forgot that word specifically, that time period era. Then came another period in which, sloths and all those other, dinosaurs were being introduced. Well, they're not dinosaurs, excuse me, mammals, because mammals did exist around that time period. And I just don't get how people can completely throw away that we could potentially be reptiles. Why would you be bothered by the thought of being interconnected with everything that you share, you share something with on this planet? Because we have a common ancestor with practically every other animal. I didn't say every animal because I don't know, but I know that we have a common ancestor with so much as dolphins and lobsters and the shit. And I don't see how people aren't so, it's because it's been so long since we discovered it, but I'm still amazed by the fact that there's aquatic mammals. These guys live in the water. To be honest, we as humans can't imagine. Well, nowadays we can technologically, but we could not imagine that. Like just living in the water, swimming and stuff. You know what I mean? Living there and having to come up and then dive back down. That's not a lifestyle we could envision. These guys evolved like that. And if we were to presume that mammals didn't evolve from reptiles, that would mean that mammals would have had to exist at the same time. They did, dumbass. How early? Because there were obviously types of dinosaurs that were, well, first of all, dinosaurs are mammals. Second of all, there were mammalian dinosaurs that appeared near the ending of the dinosaur period. They're called synapsids. They're literally mammal reptiles, mammalian reptiles. They don't make any sense, do they? They lay eggs. They don't give live births. Or maybe they're lizards that give live births and don't lay eggs, you know? The platypus is a prime example. Lays eggs, beaver tail, duck bill, webbed body. And by the way, webbed features are reptile features, not bird features, not duck features. Ducks, birds came from a reptile. The oldest reptile, which I forgot its name is like Archaeopteryx, I can't pronounce it. Archloeprix. I don't even know how to spell it either. I just tried to assume it. You try to type it into Google. This dinosaur, and I'm gonna try to like give you guys an idea of what it might have looked like. It basically had limbs, probably looked like this. Its mouth is out, and it had wings on its back. Didn't have the same skeletal structure as most birds for its wings to be like this. You know, those shoulders that they have. Because it had its shoulders, and then it had its wings on its back. And this bird, reptile thing, could take off from where it's standing. Now, that's very significant because it didn't have to run. It didn't need a head start to start running, because some birds need a head start to start running. Some birds don't just take off. This reptile thing had 4 limbs and wings. That's wild. And it wasn't carnivorous either, besides the small things. That right there goes to show how closely related animals really are. There was a type of dinosaur, forgot what it's called. It's not that big. It was a lizard rat. It literally was shaping into the form of a rat, except it wasn't fat, but it had the body shape of a rat, and then it had little, like, I don't want to say fur. I want to say probably like little scales, little feathers, something like that, because lizards were growing feathers. This is probably not even a big thing to a lot of people. They're probably like, we already know lizards are birds, bro, but we're not lizards. Dude, we could potentially be. It only makes sense, because look at the way humans have been evolving. Honestly, we're in the sun like dinosaurs. We need everything that dinosaurs needed. How come humans couldn't have just evolved with an entirely different bodily system and not require the sustenance that other animals do? It's because that was pretty much the form.